All right, let's get it going here. Take this off. Stream is starting. And I want to check the audio as usual. Audio sounds good on my end. All right, turn that down. Just getting everything kind of up and running. Storms have exploded over the last hour or two, and quickly have gone severe warned and also tornado warnings here this afternoon. So, here's our newest warning there. I always like to start out with kind of an overview of everything, but we're not going to do that today. We are going to get right into it. I need to adjust my title. Okay. Live production here, guys. I was planning on going live this evening and afternoon, and but I wanted to do a quick weather briefing, a bit of an intermediate quick cast, and just posted that just a few minutes ago. Finished up the editing, and hopefully, I didn't double check everything. I usually, well, I double check, but I usually triple, quadruple check. But hopefully, audio is good on that thing. Got it posted as quick as possible with minimal editing, but big time heat wave coming here in the East Coast and Great Lakes this weekend and into next week. It should last probably Monday or Tuesday, depending on where you are on the East Coast. Earlier here in the Great Lakes, and then one more cool day, I think, today, kind of for the East Coast. But basically, a big heat wave coming here, and then big tropical moisture plume kicks up. There's an invest here down in the Bay of Campeche. No matter what that invest does, that'll likely move. Models have it kind of moving towards Mexico, so maybe far southern Texas. But either way, no matter what the invest does, that's only going to enhance the moisture. But there's already a moisture flow, high pressure setting up here, big heat wave here, and then the pattern circulating around the high is going to funnel a ton of moisture into the central Gulf Coast and Texas Gulf Coast. That's the very quick recap of what I talked about. So go see the intermediate brief, and we can go through that later. We have in a slight risk area. It's mostly covered here by a tornado watch. I'm going to clear off the risks. We can talk about that at a later time. But over the last hour or so, the half hour to an hour, we've had a number of tornado warnings going up, and it is time to get into that right now. Just want to make sure we have everything covered here. Make sure we're live. Looks like we're live. We're good to go. Got good frame rate. Audio looks good. Yeah, kind of rushing the broadcast. I got the camera thrown up. So everything should be okay. All right. Let me know in the chat if you have any audio issues or anything like that. We're looking actually at the camera that I pulled up the other day. We saw a big hailstorm come through the Omaha metro, and this is that same camera, I-480 at the Missouri River Bridge. So waiting on storms here in Omaha. And Omaha itself right now, okay, but we have storms that have built down through southern Nebraska, Lincoln, Beatrice, and then down into, wow, look at that hail spike on that. That is a crazy radar presentation. Down into a severe thunderstorm watch here that covers much of east central Kansas. So already a busy afternoon. And we've already had, I think, some tornadoes on the ground. Yeah, we've already had tornadoes on the ground here. So this is going to continue to upscale here as it has in the last hour to 90 minutes or so. Let's see. I do want to get some details for you. Well, I'll figure that out later. The thunderstorm watch down here is pretty new, so let's get right into it here with tornado warnings. Right now we have 3 tornado warnings. They're currently all radar indicated, but I would not be surprised if we get more on the ground. We've had storm spotters out here, and they already have confirmed a few tornadoes today. Here we have our rotation. It's south of Brunswick. We are in northeast Nebraska along US 20. This is coming towards Plainview and Breslau here up along US 20 and Nebraska 13. Dangerous cell here. We also see our large hail core in this storm. Switch the color. I like the white. Yes. So there's your large hail here, and then back in here is your rotation right in here. And that's a pretty tight area rotation, so would not be surprised if this gets back on the ground coming up towards Plainview, Nebraska. Let me get some details on this one for you. 6:15 Central Time. That's how long that goes out to at 5:28. This was warned. Right now it is 5:48 Central. Tornado and golf ball size hail moving northeast at 15. And the locations here. Our good news is the tornadic part of the thunderstorm is over some rural areas right now, but it is coming a little closer to some of these communities out here. Brunswick and Plainview, Nebraska. Please be in your safe space. Brunswick, this should be sliding just to the south of you guys. So Brunswick, not ready to give you a full all clear, but pretty clear here in Brunswick. Plainview, though, this is a little bit more of an issue for you guys. It looks like on the last scan, it's gone a little bit further east than the true northeast direction. So keep an eye out here. Basically, if you're around Plainview and then down towards Foster, that is a dangerous storm there. We had 2 tornado warnings here. This one looks like it's a replacement. Let me double check that. Expires in 26 minutes or an addition. Let's take a look here. Yeah, it's going to be an addition. So here's your area rotation in this first storm. There's a bit of a kind of 2 supercells smashed together here. That one has a little CC drop in here, but yeah, it's probably clear air now that I'm looking at that one. And that one does seem to be gusting out a little bit. That's a broader area of rotation. This one seems pretty tight right in here. Let's take a look at that one. No CC drop at the moment, but that, if it does get on the ground, is going to be a rain wrap tornado here. That is up in the rain of this supercell. Yeah, not seeing a CC drop there. So right now we have 3 radar indicated tornadoes. This one is a warning here for Gloucester and Emmerich, Nebraska. If you're up here near Gloucester along Nebraska 32, Nebraska 45, please be in your safe space. That's lowest level interior room, away from doors and windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. And then over here, Emmerich, you're in actually double warning here. How close to this? Emmerich has another area of rotation just to the north of you guys. So stay in your safe space for both of these storms. Emmerich, just because the one lead storm rotation is past you, stay in your safe space for that storm here on the backside. This storm also looks like it has a larger hail signature. So would not be surprised, and we kind of see that in the CC here, some of these pink values and orange values and things like that. That's indicating that hail core there. Also some very strong damaging winds on the backside of that storm. This one has gone observed now. That's kind of what I thought it would. This is going to be an observed tornado here on the ground. Confirmed tornado located 6 miles south of Meadow Grove or 18 miles west of Norwalk. This is moving northeast at 15. Damaging tornado and ping pong ball size hail. Public confirmed tornado. Interesting, they didn't say weather spotter. There's actually kind of two areas of rotation in here. There's one right in here, and then there's the one that we were following just a minute ago. That one may be the one with the tornado. There's a CC drop right in there that's co-located with that. So that may be what we're seeing right here. Either way, dangerous storm. If you're in Battle Creek, Nebraska, just on the edge of this tornado warning, I would go to my safe space if I were you. Lowest level interior room, away from the doors and windows. Also, the storm here to the north and east of Battle Creek, up towards Norwalk, Nebraska, that one has a pretty good area rotation on it as well. Not seeing a CC drop there, but if that holds together, would not be surprised if that gets a tornado warning as well. Let's take a look at this. Yeah, that area rotation has upscaled here in the last few scans. So here's your areas of rotation in these two cells. One kind of tighter area here, and then one broader area. Looks like this broad area is kind of taking over. So we have three, I would say three tornadic potentials here. We have the lead cell, we have this cell, and still have the tornado warned cell back here. So that is a dangerous situation setting up. We also have to watch these little inflow notches here. There could be reorganization, especially when there goes the tornado warning for that new cell. So 3 tornado warned storms here around Norfolk, Woodland Park, Hayter. That's going to be here in east central Nebraska, Hoskins, and anywhere here along US 81 north of Norfolk. You guys need to be in your tornado safe space. So now 4 tornado warned storms. And here in northeast Nebraska. Yeah, there have been tornadoes on the ground here. Let's see. North of Emmerich. North of Emmerich here. Where is Emmerich? I think we just looked at Emmerich, right? Yep, there we go. There are storm chasers on this just moments ago. Still not seeing a big CC drop, but there is a storm chaser on the ground here, reporting to the NWS Omaha that there was a tornado doing damage north of Emmerich. So if it's not on the ground right now, it may be here just recycling. We need to watch that storm there. And yeah, it is a rain-wrapped tornado. It's kind of in the mist. You can see it at times. Looks like kind of a very stereotypical cone tornado. So very interesting here. Okay, let's get a bit of a radar tour here. Back out for just a second and take a look here at what we have going on. Once again, if you're just joining us, have 4 tornado warnings in Nebraska at the moment. We're also watching the Dakotas and Montana. Let's see. Trying to pull up the details on some of these severe thunderstorm watches here for you. So this one also is a couple of tornadoes possible. 2-inch hail is possible, and scattered gusts up to 85. That also goes until 9 p.m. Mountain Time. That's 10 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Mountain. The other severe thunderstorm watch that we can see in this view right here That one in South Dakota. Scattered hail up to 2 inches is possible. Scattered gusts up to 75. And frequent lightning also possible. So a little bit of a higher end priority watch there for tornadoes anyway in eastern Montana. Then we get down to our tornado watch. Well, first let me just diagram what we have here. Yeah, there it is. Couple of strong tornadoes are possible. Scattered hail up to 2 inches and scattered wind gusts up to 70 miles an hour possible. That is a pretty good tornado watch. Let's see. Don't believe it is a PDS. It is not a PDS watch. And that is effective until 10 p.m. Central Time. So these watches here are 9 p.m. Mountain, 10 p.m. Central. So all these watches right now expire at the same time. And then we also have the Severe Thunderstorm Watch in Kansas. That one has isolated hail up to ping pong ball size, scattered gusts up to 80 miles an hour possible, and frequent lightning also possible. That one is a newer watch. It's just filling in. That also includes Wichita. That one goes down to the Oklahoma border, Arkansas City, Wichita, Hutchinson, Emporia, Salina, Junction City, Manhattan, Clay Center, over towards Topeka, not quite to Kansas City yet, although we can see those Boeing storms, and we can see there's been a bunch, since those storms have gone up, a bunch of damaging winds there. All right, new tornado warning. So let's dive right back into the tornado warnings. We'll go through some of these severe thunderstorm warnings in a few minutes, but I really want to detail these tornado warnings. We also have some tornadoes on the ground. So down to 5 tornado warnings. One of them is observed. Let's see, they're all in Nebraska at the moment. I think the one is just a replacement tornado warning that was just issued. Taking our look here at the storm around Plainview, Nebraska. You can see those rotation, actually kind of 2 areas of rotation. One there and then one over here. It's a messy CC. We're a little further from the radar site, and there's hail up in here. So this is a dangerous storm. Plainview, Nebraska, if you're along Route 20 or Route 13, Plainview down to Foster, Nebraska, please be in your tornado safe space. I mentioned Brunswick. It was going to slide to the south of you guys. Looks like you guys have been dropped, trimmed off from the watch or the warning area. So Brunswick and points north and west, you guys are good. Definitely if you're south of Brunswick, please stay in your safe space. We'll first look at the storm here around Hayter, Nebraska. That one is rotating pretty good. It's right here, just to the northwest side of Norfolk, Nebraska. Not seeing a CC drop in there yet, but that is a dangerous storm. It's making its way north and east. Hayter, Norfolk, Woodland Park, and Hoskins. Please take your tornado safety measures there. And then you got to watch out because there are more storms back here. One near Battle Creek. That is a radar indicated tornado here near Battle Creek. It's going to be coming up a lot of the same areas. We've had, back it out, we have some overlapping tornado warnings because these tornadic supercells are training over each other. So there's our cell number 1 with a possible tornado over areas here just to the northwest of Norfolk. And then here is tornado number 2 possible near Battle Creek. Not seeing a CC on that one. And then we also have a pretty broad area of circulation here. So multiple areas of circulation in these storms. Some of these are also back in the rain. Looks like there's rotation picking up just over Norfolk. So we have to watch this area too. Yeah, we'll have to watch that area as well. Big mess of a situation here in Nebraska right now. This one is still an observed tag. Let's see if it was been updated at 5:50. So just about 10 minutes ago, about 18 miles west of Norfolk, moving northeast at 15. That's the public confirmed tornado. Not be surprised if we get one out of this area here. There's area rotation just near Gloucester. Ooh, that has a bit of a CC drop, so that could be on the ground again. Can't fully say that's on the ground, but Would not be surprised if that's on the ground again between Gloucester and Emmerich. Emmerich, you've had tornadoes here just go by you. Stay in your safe space for that back end storm. Yeah, we had a report of a tornado just north of Emmerich doing some damage. That area of rotation has weakened a little bit. But that area of rotation that picked up after that has continued on. And then, yeah, watching this area around Norfolk, at the very least, there's gusty winds. There was a rotation just to the northwest of Norfolk, but now rotation is picking up here just over the city. Not liking how that looks. It's a very tight cluster of tornado-warned storms, and there's kind of individual supercells tucked into this cluster of storms. Very interesting here. I have to watch this storm here. It is a considerable threat for lime-sized hail. It's starting to rotate as well, so we definitely have to watch that near Tarnov, Nebraska. This is a severe thunderstorm, considerable threat, lime-sized hail, 60-mile-an-hour winds. Creston, Lee, Clarkson, Howells, and up to the areas here just south of Stanton, Nebraska. Definitely a pretty good hail core in there. And then also pretty good hail core here near Platte Center. So watching that storm as well. That may go severe warned in a short amount of time too. Right now, there's no severe warned storms in our northern tornado or our northern severe thunderstorm watches. There is a severe thunderstorm warning up here around Dresden and Hampton in northeast North Dakota. So we'll watch those storms. It's a lot of lightning with those. Quarter-sized hail and 60-mile-an-hour winds. Really focusing right now in on these storms here. And if those continue on their current track, they may head over towards Sioux City eventually. So we really have to watch that area, Sioux City. You guys are in the tornado watch until, is this 10? Yeah, 10 p.m. Central. A lot going on already. Back down here, I want to take a look at some of these storms here too. There's severe warning near Lincoln, Nebraska for 60-mile-an-hour winds, maybe some small hail. You can definitely see the wind profile in this. Surging out here just to the south of Lincoln. Hickman, Bennett, and Eagle, Nebraska. Stay hunkered down for that one. And then also a number of gusty winds and some quarter-sized hail in those storms here along the Nebraska border. They're going to reissue a tornado warning here for these storms. I think, like I mentioned earlier, it was going a little bit more east. Yeah, so they're going to also adjust that direction here. So Plainview, you're still in the tornado warning, but that area of rotation has shifted a little bit more east. It's kind of been just floating around in here. But yeah, as of those last couple scans earlier here, you can see it was headed more northeast. It's now turned a little bit and headed more east. So this also puts a little bit more of a beeline towards Foster. So Foster, stay in your safe space here along Nebraska 13, south of Plainview. There's your area rotation right in here. And we can check and see if there's any CC drop. There is a couple lower values, but we're a little further from the radar site, and there's hail in here. So can't fully say that's a tornado on the ground. And they have not, they're also listing it as radar indicated. So likely seeing the same thing we are. Back down here, Hayter, Hoskins, Woodland Park, and Norfolk. We have rotation just over Norfolk here towards Woodland Park. Not seeing a big CC drop, so that's good there at the moment. And then larger hail coming here between Hayter and Norfolk. That'll come up towards Hoskins as well. So stay in your safe space there. Back further down, we had that tornadic circulation around Battle Creek. Still seeing area rotation in here. Around 121. Not seeing a CC drop at the moment. Again, some of these areas of rotation in these cells are rain-wrapped. These cells are kind of colliding with each other. Looks like the area around Battle Creek has broadened a little bit. Not fully ready to call that one away, but that area is a little more broad than it was earlier. And then we have a couple areas of rotation, looks like, back in this cell. That scared me for a second, but that is clear air right in here. You can see the clear inflow notch there. That one is a bit tighter area of rotation, though, right up in this area here along Nebraska 32. So that could easily drop another tornado here. We've had a couple tornadoes confirmed already. That one still has an observe tag on it, but I think that it has moved on. And then, yeah, I want to take a look at this considerable threat, severe thunderstorm near Creston. That is definitely starting to rotate here as well. And then the last scan, it doesn't. So we'll keep an eye on this one, showing some rotation, at least broadly. Omaha, you guys are good right now, but watching those storms here down towards Lincoln. And then into Kansas, we have a big line of severe thunderstorms. You can see there's an outflow boundary that those are surging out. So that is going to push those winds out ahead of the thunder and lightning. But already a ton of reports here of 60 to 70 mile an hour wind reports. 70 mile an hour in Clay Center. 70 in Dickinson County near Abilene. 75 hurricane force winds in Abilene there. And I think we're going to see more of these type of reports here. Trees down, power poles down. Because Kansas is at quite a bit of 60 to 77 mile an hour wind. Those storms have slid north of Wichita. There are more storms, though, developing out here. So we'll have to keep an eye on these storms. None are severe at the moment, but some storms here pretty strong south of Hayes near Dodge City, and then right east of Liberal along the Kansas border. So it's 6:09 Central Time now. At 5:07, there were just a couple thunder showers. Those have blown up fairly quickly. So definitely have to watch those. Kansas City, we're watching you guys. We'll see if these storms can make it into Kansas City or not. The good news is, yeah, they have released some outflow boundaries, so they're a little bit outflow dominant at the moment, but still going pretty strong here. Yeah, they were a little bit tighter back here near Abilene. But watching those, they're pushing into some pretty warm and moist environment there. Got a new severe thunderstorm warning that covers a larger area of those storms in northern North Dakota. So just watching those for quarter-size hail, 60 mile an hour winds at the moment. And then also we're getting a new tornado warning. So up to 7 tornado warnings here. There's your new tornado warning. It's going to cover areas here from Battle Creek down towards Madison, Nebraska. Radar indicated also half-dollar size hail. It's a thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado 6 miles north of Newman Grove or 6 miles northeast of Albion, moving east at 25. So this one's starting to turn a little east as well. Let's take a look at that area rotation. I think that was that one that we saw earlier. There's kind of a broad area rotation in there. There's a couple areas that are a bit tighter. Yeah, a couple minutes ago it was more this area, but there is a secondary area rotation. That's the tighter one right now. Not seeing a CC drop on those yet. Just want to check a few of these other areas. Here near Battle Creek, not seeing a CC drop there. And then near Woodland Park, not really seeing a CC drop there either. Can see the hail core in the storm with the CC. Taking a look at this. Yeah, this area here, Hayter over to Hoskins, that CC drop correlates with the hail core. Those purple colors, so that is some larger hail coming your way. Definitely stay in your safe space. And then, as I mentioned earlier, these storms were trading over each other, so there's now a flash flood warning that affects a lot of these areas. Stay in your safe space, stay in the lowest level into your room. If you have a basement or storm shelter, that's better than the first floor. But certainly if your basement or storm shelter starts flooding, then you kind of have to make a decision of where you want to go. So make sure you're kind of at the lowest dry level that you can be. Still watching these areas of rotation, not seeing them on the confirmed, at least from the CC side right now. Big hail here south of Emmerich. And also, I do want to check on these storms. These are considerable threat here around Creston, over to Clarkson, and Platte Center. That one has some broad rotation on it. We'll keep watching that one. So they're going to reissue this one for this area rotation over Woodland Park. And let me just get some updates on this. Northeast at 30, 3 miles northeast of Norfolk, Nebraska. That's a dangerous storm here. It's kind of wrapping up tighter too, so I would not be surprised if this tries to drop a tornado in here. Hopefully it doesn't do it right over Woodland Park. But this also includes Hoskins. You're still in that tornado warning. And this stretches out towards Windside, Nebraska, and Altona, Nebraska. Yeah, this is a pretty tight area rotation. Right over Nebraska 35, just to the 3 miles northeast of Norfolk in the Woodland Park community here. Hopefully not seeing anything. There's a little bit of a CC lowering there, but I think that's just a weak echo. But pretty tight rotation right over Route 35 here and Woodland Park. I don't think we're going to have traffic cam out this way, but let me see if we can. Yeah, pretty tight area rotation here near Woodland Park. So watching this area right in here. Still not seeing any defined CC drops, so that's one good thing. But that's coming up towards Hoskins, Windside, and Altona, Nebraska. Still seeing rotation in here. It's looks like a large meso with kind of some broad areas of rotation. That one's the strongest at the moment. It's hard to tell what's going on in here because of the hail core is pretty close to this, but this is moving slowly over towards Foster. It's about 15 or 20 miles an hour, moving east, maybe just slightly north of east. But watching that storm here, Foster. Still just a radar indicated tornado, but that would also be kind of rain wrapped or hail wrapped. So definitely don't go out and look for it. Get to your safe space. And then also watching this area here south of Emmerich. Kind of broad at the moment. This also includes Kalamazoo, and then also just to the west of Madison, Nebraska. Please be in your safe space. Watch this here if you're out towards Wernersville or Enola. Got to watch that storm as it's headed your way. And then a big, broad area of circulation here near Battle Creek. Not seeing a CC drop with that yet. These are just a big mess of HP cells just jammed up to each other. So again, if you're in any of those areas, please take it seriously here. Don't go out and look for the tornadoes. They've been rain wrapped, at least partially, and the professional storm chasers know how to get those views while still staying safe. Creston, Lehigh, Clarkson, Howells. You guys have a considerable threat for lime-sized hail and 60-mile-an-hour winds. You can see those purple cores there. Also watching a little bit of broad rotation in those cells. Backing out a little bit. Just want to kind of check our other areas. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning now in Montana. This is up near Roundup and Melstone, Montana. Watching that storm. Quarter-size hail, 60-mile-an-hour winds at the moment. I think that's the first severe thunderstorm warning in that watch area. Also south of Lincoln. Lincoln has some strong storms just here south. The strongest ones here are down towards the Kansas border with quarter-size hail and 60-mile-an-hour winds. You can see some of those gustier winds in those cells. Quickly into Kansas, we have severe thunderstorms. They've caused a ton of damaging wind reports. You can see those are just coming in here all along I-70 as well. So a pretty rough ride there. These are going through Junction City, Manhattan, and then stretching into northeast Kansas, Marysville, and Blue Rapids at the moment. You can see that outflow boundary surging out, so gusty winds are going to be ahead of the rain, thunder, and lightning. Yeah, you can see that also on the wind profile there, coming towards Council Groves, Womengo, and areas here north and east of Manhattan. Very quickly, the atmosphere goes from a area that supports tornadic environment to an area that's really focused on damaging winds. So we've had a pretty good core of those. Also watching these individual cells that are refiring back here near Dodge City. A couple stronger cells. That one near Hayes. Wouldn't be surprised if this gets a severe thunderstorm warning soon. It has a pretty good hail core, it looks like, in it. Between Ness City and La Crosse, south of Hayes. That one also pretty strong north of Dodge City. Then we have a new severe thunderstorm warning for quarter-size hail right on the Oklahoma and Kansas border near Ashland, Kansas. Quarter-size hail, it says right now, but when we start seeing these brighter pinks and purple colors, as well as a blue core, that's when we start seeing larger hail. So would not be surprised if we get at least $half size hail out of this. Maybe even approaching golf ball size. Yeah, it's being warned for quarters right now, but would not be surprised if we get larger hail out of that. Down to 5 tornado warnings. They're all at the moment radar indicated, so we'll go back up and tour those. It's a big mess of tornadic supercells that have kind of smushed themselves together. Still seeing that area of broad rotation here, south of Plainview, west of Foster's. Stay in your safe space. I know this storm has not moved particularly fast. And it's hard to see what's going on in there. It's just a big messy CC, but that area circulation is very close to the hail core, so that's why we're seeing kind of that overlap of CC drop with the velocity scan, and really can't say for sure exactly what's going on in that storm. Good news is we do have storm chasers out here today, so if it's still radar indicated, it probably means that a storm chaser has not seen that produce a tornado yet. And then back here near Woodland Park, still have that area of circulation. It's moved just east of Woodland Park here. Still not seeing a CC drop, so that's good. But this is now pushing east here, south of Hoskins, and just east of Woodland Park. It's a dangerous storm here on the leading edge. It's kind of riding the southern end of this watch warning box. So Windside and Altona, you guys need to be in your safe space, and north of Pilger. I'd also say, especially north of 275, pay attention to that storm. Back a little further, this thing is broadened out quite a bit, but still some circulation in here near Battle Creek. That one's probably not imminently tornadic at the moment. And then still also seeing broad rotation here south of, I believe this was south of Emmerich, kind of just east of Emmerich at the moment. The tightest area of circulation is right in here. And this is another one here. The hail core kind of co-locates with that area of circulation, so it's hard to really see what's going on with the CC drop. I think that's hail contamination still. Kalamazoo over towards Madison, Nebraska. You guys need to stay in your safe space. Lowest level into your room, away from doors and windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. And then also watching these cells down here. they've had a little rotation too at times. So watching those cells here, Clarkson over towards Platte Center, Tarnoff, and Creston, those are also considerable threat for lime-sized hail. Wow. Yeah, things have fired off pretty quickly here this afternoon. We've had already some larger hail reports, already some, I think the one that we saw earlier was 77-mile-an-hour wind reports. Also some strong storms here near Denver, so we'll keep an eye on those. Just a bunch of severe thunderstorms came off really quickly within the last, about 2 hours or so. Let's, we have kind of the tornado warnings covered at the moment. Let me see if I can take an extra minute here and see if we can get a couple camera views this way. I want to take a look and see if we can get one kind of in line with those storms. So let's take away our Omaha camera. And let me see if we have anything out this way. All right, this is a decent camera view. So this is at Sloan, Iowa here. Let's see, right here. So we're at Sloan, Iowa, actually looking west. So we're looking back towards those storms. Not going to see anything for a little bit, but those are that's a camera that at least it puts us in line of those storms. Let's see. In the meantime, let me look also into Nebraska and see if we have any cameras this way. I don't think we do, but it never hurts to look. We've been here before. Nebraska is a little more sparsely populated with the cameras. I do have a camera out towards wind side, so let me get this pulled up here for you. You can at least start to see some of those conditions. The storms fired off so quickly, I didn't get the cameras kind of up and running ahead of time. Usually kind of do that as we set up the stream. This should work, okay. Wow, the wind is really kicking up ahead of these storms. This is at I-29 here at Sloan, Iowa, looking back towards those storms. We can see the wind blowing the camera a little bit. This is probably our best shot here. This is at a wind side. 4 miles north of Windside, looking west on 35. Let's a little bit. Let me adjust it a little bit more. Let's back up. Okay, so yeah, wind side. We can see the heavy rain. You can see why it's going to be very hard to see these tornadoes. Yeah, it's already raining and storming here around wind side. So the tornado would actually just be to the south of this. And this is a pretty tight area of circulation. Between Hoskins and Spurville in Nebraska, ooh, would not be surprised if that's on the ground. That's a pretty tight area of circulation here. This is coming up along 35 south of Windside towards Altona. If you're in Altona, Nebraska, you definitely need to be in your safe space. Lowest level into your room, away from those doors and windows, and put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. If you have a basement or storm shelter, please take that and get to your basement storm shelter. Below ground is better. And even this storm here, the circulation kind of on the southern flank of the storm, it's still going to be rain wrapped. Would not be surprised if this is back on the ground here. Just kind of waiting to see the CC drop and confirmation. A lot of times when we see the CC drop, we also get confirmation from the ground. So would not be surprised there. The storm on the back side of this still has some circulation to it, but it's looking a lot more broad than it did earlier. And same for the storm that's south there. Still kind of between Kalamazoo and Emmerich. Still have an area of circulation. Big messy area of CC, but circulation is up in here. With a lot of hail contamination there too. So let's see, what is that? South of Emmerich towards Kalamazoo and Madison in Nebraska. Please take your safety precautions there. Lowest level into your room. Yeah, good news around Norfolk right now. That area of rotation is broad, and we can take a look here and back it up a little bit. It was tighter here over Battle Creek, and certainly tighter back further. A big gust of wind here. This has been outflow dominant. So that's what we're seeing right now over Norfolk, Nebraska. A larger considerable threat for 60-mile-an-hour winds and golf ball size hail. That's going to stretch out and incorporate all of these cells in here. They all have hail cores. So even this one here near Pilger and Staunton now has a hail core in it. So it's a big mess at the moment. Good news is the tornado warning here around Plainview and Foster has been allowed to expire. There's still some broad, weak rotation in here at the moment, but this has remained kind of unorganized rotation. So still, if you're in your safe space, give it another few minutes around Foster. Let some of this bigger hail clear out. And then the new warning for severe thunderstorm also includes Pierce, Nebraska. Considerable threat for 60-mile-an-hour wind and golf ball sized hail. So still a strong thunderstorm. Yeah, right now the one that I kind of would think here is the most favorable for the tornadic development is this lead cell at the moment. It's south of Hoskins and north of Spurville. Just kind of checking the CC updates. We can see here, this is from Windside, the camera that we have up. You can see those conditions around Windside right now. heavy rain, thunderstorm, lightning, and but the tornadic circulation should go south of wind side. If you're in your safe space, just stay there and let this storm pass. We can also take a look at Sloan. This is I-29 here at Sloan. Adjusting it a little bit so we can see it a little better. Okay. And we're looking west, so we're looking towards those storms. You can see the clouds building there on those storms. Those are, let's see. There's Sloan right here. Those storms are, I'll take it from the edge of the tornado warning, but those storms are about 41 miles away. So that is one thing. You have some good views out here in this part of the country, Nebraska and Iowa. So we're seeing those storms from about 41 miles. And then what we're seeing under those storms is this view here out of Windside, Nebraska, just north of the tornado warning. And Windside, you guys have been removed from the tornado warning. So still stay in your safe space if you're in this Windside area. Dangerous storm with considerable threat for golf ball size hail and 60-mile-an-hour winds. But that tornadic circulation is still south of Windside. It's also broadened a little bit, so that's some good news there. But still, in case it does tighten back up or strengthen, we need to stay in our safe space here if we're out here towards Altona. Oh, there's your winds going away from the radar here in the red, and then our greens going towards the radar. Our tornadic circulation sits in here. A couple lower CC values. It's hard to really confirm that as a CC drop, though. But still pretty good area circulation. Still just listed as radar indicated, and there are spotters out here, so we'll see if they can get a view of that storm. Also watching this area circulation. Ooh, it's kind of messy. It's broadened back out towards Madison, Nebraska. It's kind of just been, you can see here it was tighter earlier. Maybe a new area circulation picking up on the back end of the storm. We'll have to watch that. Yeah, we'll have to watch that area there. So still stay in your tornado safe space here between Emmerich and Madison, Nebraska. That's also Kalamazoo, Nebraska. Stay in your safe space. Good news here for Kalamazoo, Nebraska is that hail core is just to your north. So that's sliding to your north. It's a pretty dangerous cluster of storms there. They're all high precipitation. They have large hail, damaging winds, and tornado circulations in them. This area here near Creston has a pretty good hail core, so that's coming up towards Staunton and areas here north of Clarkson, Nebraska. Wow. Yeah, that is a mess there. All right, back up into northern North Dakota, around Langdon, North Dakota. Still have strong storms here. Quarter-size hail, 60-mile-an-hour winds. That extends up into Canada around Winkler, Manitoba. Certainly being a sturdy structure. And then still 1-inch hail, quarter-inch hail, and 60-mile-an-hour winds for these storms. Yeah, you can see their wind profile. They're surging out here. This is coming up towards Glasgow in Montana, Nashua, and eventually over towards Fraser. So hunker down here. You got a few minutes if you're in those locations along US 2 put the car in the garage, and get into a sturdy shelter. Also have this area here, quarter-size hail around Melstone. I have to watch that storm. It's luckily over a lot of rural areas at the moment. Let's see. Bascom, Sumatra, and Ingomar in Montana. That is a pretty strong storm there. Storms are starting to fire in our other severe thunderstorm watch here in around Rapid City. Taking this back a few scans, there's been a few storms, but it looks like they haven't fully been upscaling, but there are a little bit more coverage of storms from Rapid City down towards Hot Springs. So we'll have to watch those. Also some here around the Dakotas, the tri-state area here, south of Dickinson, North Dakota, and into far northwestern South Dakota. Let's see. Storms around Denver are east of Denver, so that's good to see for the Denver metro. And then back down here into southern Nebraska, watching this area around Beatrice and Winmore, Nebraska. Pretty heavy winds in here, especially along US 77. That's going to come up towards Rockford, Virginia, Lewiston, Crab Orchard, and up towards Sterling and Adams. So definitely stay in your sturdy structure here. Ping pong ball sized hail and 60-mile-an-hour winds. These storms here in southern Nebraska and northeastern Kansas have had a history of producing 60 to close to 80-mile-an-hour winds. So we really need to watch those storms. Right now, the good news is, and we see this a lot with a lot of storms, as they kind of bow out, their hail signatures come down, those hail profiles, but the wind signatures ramp up. So we've seen that here a lot in Kansas. There's not a lot of big hail reports back here, but there's a lot of big wind reports. And yeah, some of those were closer to 80 miles an hour. Down here near Enterprise, let's see, or was it the other one? It's the other one near Abilene. Yeah, 75 mile an hour. That's a hurricane force wind gust. And I think there was another one down in here that was also pretty high. Hutchinson had a 77 mile an hour wind gust earlier. So those can do 77 will do similar damage to a low end tornado. So you definitely, if you have considerable threat winds like this, you want to be in a sturdy structure, not in a mobile home, a camping trailer, or a tent. I know it's a busy summer weekend, so a lot of people may be doing recreational activities. If you know anyone out in these areas that we've covered, and also the areas here in Montana and the Dakotas, let them know. If you know anyone, let them know that there's severe weather possible tonight. And for some of these areas, severe weather ongoing. Kansas City, keeping an eye on you guys. No watches or warnings yet. There are some storms going up here near Excelsior Springs and Liberty in Missouri. We'll have to watch those ones. It's a pretty warm and moist environment out ahead of these storms. We can turn on the display too and see. Out ahead of these storms, you got 89 degrees in Topeka, 92 in Lawrence, 91 in Kansas City, and that stretches all the way up here. Omaha, 83. So pretty warm, moist environment ahead of these storms, especially here into southern Iowa, northern Missouri, and eastern Kansas. 92 in Lawrence there. So yeah, pretty warm and moist environment. A little further up, let's see what we have. 80 in Sioux Falls, 79 Storm Lake, 80 basically along the I-29 corridor here along the Missouri River Valley. And it looks like some low 80s here also in eastern Nebraska, even up towards southern South Dakota here gets 79 and 77 in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So pretty warm, moist environment here. You can see those dew points as well. Dew points here in the low 70s and high 60s. They drop a little bit here into northern Iowa. And then further south here up towards the Missouri River, where Missouri, Nebraska, and Iowa meet, you have low 70s dew points and low 80s to mid 80s in temperature. So a pretty warm, moist environment here. That'll give these storms that we can see on the backside here towards Lincoln and Beatrice and down into Kansas. That'll give this storm cluster a pretty healthy, warm environment as it continues to move northeast. We've had a decrease in our tornado warnings here. The one still in Stanton County and Wayne County in northeast Nebraska. This is that cell around Windside. And good news is we've seen that area rotation broaden here as well. Just a few scans ago, it was looking very healthy around Woodland Park. And then further east from Woodland Park, it was also looking pretty healthy at times here south of Windside. That area has broadened back out. Still a little area of circulation in here. Just going to check this area. This one now near Pilger, Nebraska, is tornado warned. Moving northeast at 30. So just the radar indicated rotation. I wanted to check and see if it was an area rotation that was spotted, but it's not. There's your area rotation here, just southwest of Pilger. So Pilger, you guys need to get to your safe space ASAP here. And that's going to ride northeast over Pilger. Not seeing any CC drop on this. This is also in the rain, kind of on the back end of this storm cluster. So you're not going to see anything out in front of this. Altona, Pilger, stay in your safe space. Right, and here is your rotation. Not seeing a CC drop at the moment, but again, that sometimes does not mean there's not tornadoes on the ground. There could be. I've talked about that before, but if we have some new viewers here, I'll draw it again. So when we're looking for those CC drops, we're looking for debris that's lofted into the storm. So we might have a tornado producing damage and debris lofting that into the storm, but our radar site might be way over here. So that radar beam goes out and cuts across the storm at a higher altitude than where our tornado is picking up debris. Versus if we had a closer radar, we might have a beam that goes through the lower end of that storm scan, and then we can see those debris signatures. So that's why we may have radar A, and there could be easily a tornado doing a lot of damage, but we're just not seeing it up at the altitude of that storm scan. So that's why I never like to fully go off of the CC scan. Sometimes the visual look of the storm, but also the rotation and the tightness of that can also give us clues to if there's a tornado on the ground. Pilger along US 275 up towards Altona. Please stay in your safe space there. And then the storm to your south, that's going to get a tornado warning here around Creston and Lay and Clarkson, Nebraska. That one has intensified very rapidly. Let's back this up here. We can back this scan up, and just within the last couple scans, it was kind of a big messy cluster of some hail. We talked about the hail core around Creston and Humphrey, and had a little bit of broad rotation, but we can see here that around Creston, that is tightened up. And now just north of Lee, along Nebraska 91 and Nebraska 57. Pretty tight area rotation right in here. Also see that visually with the storm. We can see our storm here hooking around. It's got that kidney bean shape. We have some warm inflow coming in this way here in this inflow notch. Our cool air is surging out down here. And circulation sits right in here. And that's where we would expect to see that tornadic circulation, and that's where we're seeing that. Not seeing the CC drop yet, but again, it could be on there. We have any new viewers. Also, this is your red going away from the radar, your green going towards the radar, and that shows our area of circulation as well. So, seeing all the puzzle pieces. our radar that we're using here is out of the Omaha, Nebraska area, just to the west of Omaha. So that's where we're sending our beam out and seeing those reds and greens, with those reds going away and those greens going towards the radar. That's also why if you do broaden out, you can see there's a line in here. That line is not circulation. That is where the radar is. So you can sometimes you'll have storms that cross this line. You'll have a big green storm and it all of a sudden becomes a big red storm. Again, not rotating, it's just crossing that line of the radar. Yeah, so seeing a pretty good area of circulation here, just north of Lee, but not seeing a CC drop at the moment. Would not be surprised if that can stay tight like that, that could easily develop a tornadic circulation. Still some broad rotation in this storm south of Battle Creek. I'll have to keep watching that one, see if it can tighten back up. Same for that cell that was north of the cell that's in Pilger. There's still some broad rotation in here. I think that one's going to run into some issues, though, because the storm here in Pilger is kind of running into it. So we have a storm sliding up this way. This storm is sliding this way. And they're going to kind of run interference. Now, they may reorganize after this. We'll have to see after the cell merger what can happen there. So keep an eye on this cell if you're up here towards Thurston or Winnebago. That cell merger may also bring an area rotation. It could knock it kind of to the right. So even though right now it's headed pretty much northeast through Pilger, those cell mergers are always interesting dynamics. And we're going to see a cell merger here with this storm. Those can also enhance the vorticity locally, so watching this area here near Pilger pretty carefully. And then, yeah, there's still a little bit of broad rotation in that storm south of Windside. Again, if you're in Altona, Altona is in this warning. Anywhere around Pilger along US 275 and north and west of Wisner, or Weissner, here in east central Nebraska. Checking, we have our 2 tornado warnings. We also have 13 severe thunderstorm warnings. Those stretch all the way from Montana down into Kansas. And even Texas now. Texas now getting into the act. Canadian Texas. This is 1-inch hail and 60-mile-an-hour winds. It's in the Texas Panhandle near Canadian Texas. We'll watch that cell as well. This cell here looks pretty strong. It's riding the Kansas border with Oklahoma, but that's a pretty good hail core in this. I would not be shocked if this gets a severe thunderstorm warning if that hail core continues to maintain itself. And then still watching the KC area. Strongest storms right now are north of I-70 here at the moment. So some okay news for KC at the moment. That's from Beatrice down to the areas north and east of Manhattan, Kansas. A couple cells north and east of Kansas City. We'll keep an eye on those. And then also watching Omaha. Omaha has a non-severe storms right now, but there's some pretty gusty winds in here. So especially Omaha, I-80 points south. You guys have to watch that. That's also going to be coming over to the I-29 corridor south of Omaha. They're going to reissue the tornado warning for this area around Madison. It hasn't moved much, but this area is kind of continuing to maintain a broad area of circulation. And it's actually replaced itself a few times. We've had a couple areas of circulation in here. They get a little tighter at one point, and then they broaden back out. So still some broad area circulation in here. Stay in your safe space. Madison up to Enola and around Kalamazoo. Yeah, a couple tighter areas right there. So let's check these two areas real quick for any CC drop. Not seeing any tornadic CC drop, but this is all hail stuff up here. I want to check that storm here near Clarkson, Nebraska. This was our tightest area of rotation, I think, over the last couple minutes. And still not seeing a CC drop with that. So that is some good news at the moment. Your hail is sitting just north of all this. So here's your hail core up in here, and then your tornadic circulation is sitting down in this area here, just south of the hail core. We'll get new scans in and see if that has tightened up at all. Yeah, check on this area rotation here near Enola. Ooh, hard to say what's going on in this one. The last scan had a little bit brighter returns in here, so we'll have to check it again. That has tightened up in the last scan or so. So that one is a little suspicious. There's still a lot of hail in here, so it's still really hard to confirm that on a CC by without visual confirmation of that one. If that holds another scan or two, that could be a tornado on the ground. I just can't really tell you if it is or not, just based on that first scan of the CC. Still broad rotation around Pilger and just to the north and east of Pilger. Not seeing any CC drop on that either. Again, though, we're watching also that area that was tornado warned earlier near Windside. We're going to watch and see how these two storms interact with each other. They're definitely going to be undergoing a cell merger here. And we can kind of see that taking place already. So here's your cell that was warned near Windside. And then within that, here's your cell coming up near Pilger. So watching for any local enhancement of this, and also watching these two cells to see if they can organize their mesocyclones together. Sometimes a cell merger will just completely destroy the rotation, and then other times it will enhance it. Let's see. Watching. Let's go to getting darker on the camera that we're watching here from Sloan. Those storms are slowly getting our way. Let's see. They are now about, our tornado warning is about 32 miles. So we've had about 10 miles since the last time I measured it. So now 32 miles out, we're seeing a little more definition in those clouds. Definitely darker there on the horizon line. Can pull out and actually see kind of all these areas of circulation here. The one north and west of Clarkson, a couple in here near Madison, and then also watching that area near Pilger. This one is moving kind of northeast. This one's moving more north-northeast. And these two are kind of doing their own thing, moving kind of east. East-northeast. So, big... Stay hunkered down if you're in your home around Norfolk. You don't have to be in your tornado safe space if you're in Norfolk right now, but I would not advise going out because you have tornado warnings to your north or to your south, to your southeast, to your east, and besides the tornadoes, there's large hail in here. There's a lot of heavy rain, wind, and lightning. So if you're in the Norfolk, Nebraska area, good to just kind of stay hunkered down. Checking some of our other areas here. We don't want to leave our friends out in Montana, around Glasgow and Nashua, Montana. That is a pretty hefty cell. It has some rotation in it too. You can kind of see that here. There's a bit of an inflow notch right in here, and then wind is surging out on the southern side of this. You can also see it has an outflow boundary. But yeah, that is a nasty looking cell right here. Likely some larger hail in this storm. We can see those purples and pinks and even a couple blue returns. So that is larger hail, definitely damaging winds. It's being warned for 60-mile-an-hour winds and quarter-size hail, but this is another storm. I would not be surprised if we have a little bit larger hail than quarters in here, probably closer to half-dollar sized. Watch that one if you're up here at Glasgow down to Nashua in Montana. And then good news right now for North Dakota. North Dakota, those storms have gone below severe limits around Langdon, North Dakota. Still some pretty strong storms with some gusty winds and maybe some small hail. Rapid City, we've been watching storms around you guys. Nothing severe warned, but this is another storm here near Wall that has a potential for larger hail and some gusty winds. So watching that storm, that's along I-90 too. And then we'll skip down here into Texas. Check our storms here in Texas. Still a severe thunderstorm here around Canadian Texas. Still a very strong storm here along the Kansas and Oklahoma border. Again, would not be surprised if that gets severe warned in time, especially if that hail core maintains. Some pretty large hail probably falling in this area around Englewood, right on the Oklahoma-Kansas border. Wichita, all clear right now for you guys. We'll watch on storms this evening for Wichita. And then this is starting to really develop into a pretty big cluster here of strong to severe thunderstorms. That's going to be approaching Nebraska City, Syracuse, Tecumseh, Auburn, Falls City, Sabetha, Hiawatha, Seneca, here into Kansas. Some of these are severe warned, 60-mile-an-hour winds, quarter-size hail, but would not be surprised if there's some gustier winds. We've already seen reports of 60 to 70 to close to 80-mile-an-hour winds in here. So those are some damaging winds coming towards the I-29 corridor. Again, watching those storms approaching the I-29 corridor. See what we have on the in the Omaha metro. I want to see what we have for those cameras. Here's an interesting look. This is Nebraska 370 at 120th Street. That's looking at this line of severe thunderstorms approaching here. Oh, here's 370. Let's see. 370 and 120th. There it is, right here. And we're looking west, so yeah. So yeah, we're seeing this edge here of the storms right here in the Omaha metro looking west. Stronger storms. Are we looking west? Let me see. No, we're looking northeast, sorry. Even though it's actually lighter to the east, it looked darker here. So we're seeing the darker clouds here coming up from the southwest to the right of the camera. And to orient myself there. Yeah, those are some nasty storms. That storm that I mentioned just a few minutes ago around Wall, South Dakota, is now severe warned. We can see the pretty good hail core in this storm. $half sized hail, 60-mile-an-hour winds. Yeah, again, when we start seeing those blues and those brighter pink and purple colors, that usually means there's at least $half sized hail. So, not surprised we got a warning upgrade there. Norfolk, Nebraska, you're surrounded here by flash flood warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings, and then 3 tornado warnings. Considerable severe thunderstorm warning for 60-mile-an-hour winds and golf ball size hail. A lot of lightning in these two. So, okay, so we've seen, I think, a little bit of enhancement here of this rotation that's come through Pilger. That's what I mentioned earlier, is we can see those enhancements sometimes when there's the cell mergers going on. We're seeing that here. This lead cell is now incorporating with the Pilger cell. So we really need to watch this storm here for getting its rotation organized here. Yeah, we can see just a couple scans ago over Pilger, this was basically its own separate cell. It's now getting incorporated into that larger cluster of storms. There's another look. There's the original cell, and then there's our Pilger cell just coming together there. And then we've seen now that enhancement right around Altona. So we've been talking about Altona for a little while now. Hopefully you guys are in your safe space still. Still a bit broad. It does not look like it's showing a CC drop at the moment, but still stay in your safe space there if you're in Altona. And then still watching this cell here north of Clarkson, Nebraska here, along Nebraska 32 and Nebraska 57. Not seeing a CC drop with that one yet, but that's a strong cell here. It's a little bit out on its own, so this one can also benefit from getting uncontaminated inflow versus the cluster of storms that's to its north. That's why if we look here right now, we are seeing the 3 tornado-warned storms are areas there that they can get some uncontaminated inflow. So that makes a lot of sense. This one up near Pierce was tornado-warned earlier near Plainview. That one is not tornado-warned anymore because there's a lot of outflow and cooler air behind these storms. Still watching areas of rotation here around Enola, Madison, and Kalamazoo. You guys, I feel like, have been in a tornado warning for quite a while, but still stay in your safe space there. Yeah, there's still an area of rotation in here. Watching this area pretty closely here around Pilger, and points to the north of Pilger around Altona. Again, not seeing that CC drop yet. This is also south and east of Windside. Couple new severe thunderstorm warnings. That's going to cover this whole line. Rightly so, I think. We were talking about this line just a few minutes ago. That's part of it we can see from this camera here, but this is a pretty good surging line here. We also need to watch these little notches for any other areas of circulation. There's none right now, but clusters of storms like this can produce tornadoes. But those are particularly strong surging winds here south of Omaha, coming up towards Bellevue, Nebraska City, surging out here near Syracuse, and then Auburn, Tecumseh, down toward Falls City. I think I talked about all these towns. You're all now getting an official severe thunderstorm warning. Sabetha, Hiawatha, Seneca, into Kansas. There's no storms right now through Topeka, but the outflow boundary that the storms have left is still a gusty outflow boundary. You could get 30 or 40 mile an hour wind gusts along this. So this non-thunderstorm portion of this line is still being at least special weather statement for gusty winds there. Yeah, that is a turning into a pretty good cluster. New tornado warning. This is going to extend out that area rotation that is now north and east of Pilger. No CC drop yet. But this is going to extend out towards Wakefield, Emerson, and points south and east of Wayne, Nebraska. Please be in your tornado safe space. If you're here in the Altona area, stay in your safe space a little longer. Let this storm completely pass. There is not a super tight area rotation right now, but a stronger area rotation. The winds we're seeing here on the inflow winds are pretty strong. Taking a look here again near Clarkson, points north of Clarkson along Nebraska 32. Still seeing an area rotation in here. And then also big hail and rain producing storm here. This is fully an HP cell. That is a lot of hail in here. We can likely see that on the CC. Yeah, we can. This is all hail returns showing up in here. And that co-locates with all that purple. Same for this cell near Stanton. Those are your hail returns showing up on the CC. If we have any new viewers, what the CC tells us here, I go over to this view here. The CC tells us if they're meteorological targets or not. So if we sample this area here, these are all meteorological targets. The radar looks and says that is all correlated with each other. So they're all roughly the same size. They're all raindrops. And even if there are slightly bigger raindrops, they're all basically the same size and shape. So they look good. So the radar says those are good. When we start seeing things like this area here, that's the radar saying that they've sampled this, and there's rain in here, but then there's also some bigger things. And hail is also not always a ball. Hail is sometimes chunky looking like this, sometimes like chicken nugget shaped, round chicken nuggets. So hail has a bunch of different sizes and profiles to it. So this is the radar saying this is not fully correlating with each other. So that's why we see these yellows, blues, oranges. Still shows us that there's some correlation. They're somewhat the same size, but not always. We haven't really seen a big CC drop on the tornado circulations yet, but we can see what happens when stuff doesn't correlate just by looking at clear air. The clear air shows up as these bluer colors, but if we see something like this, if we saw a circle that had blues and blacks, and that circle was in an area that had a high correlation, so if we saw something like this, just kind of drawing it in, but if we saw a lot of blues and blacks in an area that shouldn't have those, it shouldn't have hail, it should be in an area that has a lot of rain, and just these are all correlated with each other, but this does not. And then when we flip it over and we see the velocity scan, and we can see that the velocity and the rotation in those with the red and green couplet, that's when we know there's a tornado. We haven't seen really any of those today. Again, that does not mean that there hasn't been tornadoes. It just means we haven't seen those at the level of our radar. Okay, we may be able to see one here. Let's see. This is going to go observed. So this is going to be a observed tag, and that is probably it right there. So we have a new area here of CC drop, and that locates pretty good with that part of the rotation. There's a bit broader rotation in here too. But there's your CC drop. Let's see if this is also a spotter confirmed. Public confirmed tornado at 7:07. A storm chaser confirmed the tornado 5 miles north of Clarkson. So that's likely it right in here. 5 miles north of Clarkson. Yeah, that's about 5.5 miles. So that's our area right here. Wasn't sure. I saw the one little mark right here in the last scan. It was kind of over the same area rotation. But when we're seeing one mark like that, it usually takes a couple scans to really see if there's a defined CC drop. So that's probably the start of it. Here we go. One scan there, nothing. Scan number 2, we do see a couple lower CC values. And then scan number 3, those blow up a little wider. And scan number 4, still seeing those in here. So that gives you a good view. Mother Nature cooperated with my demonstration of CC. Also watching this area here. This is probably going to be a mesoscale or mesocyclone replacement here. We're seeing the old area circulation producing a tornado now. Not seeing the new circulation produce a tornado, but we're seeing those velocity values drop here and increase here. So increasing and lowering. The ongoing tornado, though, could still be on the ground. We'll get a new update here when we get the scan, but likely have a mesocyclone replacement going on. We'll see if that new mesocyclone can produce a tornado. Really cool view looking at those storms from the Omaha cam there. Still a tornado on the ground. This is along Nebraska Route 32, Highway 32, and Highway 15. If you're Highway 15 and 32 north of Clarkson, that is a tornado on the ground right here. Moving northeast. I don't know if there's many other communities in here. Let's check it out. Oops, I typed it in wrong. 5 meals. They're getting it out as quick as possible, so I'm not gonna fault them for that. But let's see. 21 miles west of West Point. Okay, yeah. Over mainly rural areas of west, central, Cumming, and southeastern Stanton counties. And basically they've listed the junction there that I mentioned, Highway 15 and Highway 32. So that's good news, is there's not a official community in this path. The bad thing is there are a lot of farming communities out here. So there still could be people that are impacted. And if I zoom in close enough, you can sometimes see if there's any structures in here. There's probably something, yeah, probably something like in here, these little blocks and these little side roads off of US 32. So there are some people that live out here, largely agriculture area. Now, good news is on the last scan, the last return came in and we do not see that CC drop anymore. So I guess a couple still values here of lower CC. But that's also back in kind of an area that we wouldn't expect a rotation. There's new rotation, though, picking up to the east of this. We'll have to watch that. This also got a little train spotter remark there, so that got noted. Let's look at our other areas here. I don't believe any of these have been officially confirmed. This is broader right now, south of Wayne, but we'll watch that one. We can back this up and see how it broadened out. Tried to tighten up south of Wayne, but yeah, it's definitely broadened out at the moment. So this may be one of those cases where a cell merger did not go so well for that cell. We'll have to see, though, if it continues to reorganize after that cell merger. It could produce another tornado. And then this area is a big mess of hail and also some rotation still. A larger problem, I think, is that hail's been falling in this same area for quite a while. So this is a flash flood warning, but also a major hail issue. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some areas south of Norfolk here where there might be hail covering the ground. Once again, a neat view out of Omaha right now. Let me see if we have a camera down that way. Let's see. We have a pretty big area of wind. This is pushing into Nebraska City, Dunbar, Union, Nehaka. Let me see if we have a camera down that way towards Nebraska City, because that may show us a pretty big surge of wind there. Let's see. And those cameras look like they might be out. Let's see. Nope, they're going right now. Let's see. We might lose the camera, but we can see if it'll last. We'll take it. So this is looking north. Let me pull this camera for you. This is looking north here at Nebraska City, I-29, and 9.8 mile marker there. That's the Nebraska City exit. So we're right here looking north. You can see those darker clouds on the horizon. Those are the clouds here that we see near Percival, looking up the highway. Camera's already shaking a little bit. It's going to get slammed from the left side. So we'll keep it on that camera for right now. If those storms do get closer to Sloan, we'll pull back up the Sloan camera. But yeah, these are surging out pretty good here, coming through Nebraska City. And yeah, we're going to have to watch, again, these little inflow notches. There's one there by Johnson. There's one here. Those can sometimes tighten up and produce QLCS tornadoes. Not seeing a lot of rotation on them yet, but we'll just have to watch those. And just already, we're getting 60-mile-an-hour wind reports by train spotters near Kansas and Nebraska border here. Bern, Kansas, 64-mile-an-hour wind gusts, and south of Seneca, 60. So already getting a ton of wind gust reports, and those thunderstorms are ongoing. Just south of Bellevue, also 60-mile-an-hour wind by a National Weather Service employee. I quickly want to go cover a few of these other severe thunderstorm warnings. Still strong storms ongoing here on the Canadian and U.S. border. Severe thunderstorms in Canada. This is one of the differences between the U.S. and Canadian weather offices. Is Environment Canada is warning those for their severe weather criteria, and the U.S. is not. So there's differences in how the wind speeds and the criteria for what counts as a severe thunderstorm, hail size, things like that. So still strong storms. If the Canadian Weather Service is warning it means they're at least stronger storms. So they're coming towards Cavalier right now. Could be some small hail in those. And they're also watching this crazy looking storm here near Glasgow. It's also really close to the radar site, so we're getting a cool view of this. But this is coming up along US 2 between Fraser, Glasgow, and Nashua, Montana. Big surge of wind in those. And also we're so close to the radar site, we can take a little better view at this wind. Seeing some wind in here close to 60 miles an hour, 62, 63. That's a false return there. That was 10 something. Yeah, most of this wind in here is 50 to 60. So would not be surprised if we see that. Also see those larger hail returns. Ping pong ball sized hail and 60 mile an hour winds. And that's going to be pushing through Glasgow and quickly here pushing towards Nashua. This also has some surge to it. So we're seeing those winds surge out there too. That is a strong, severe thunderstorm in Montana. Since we started doing these live streams, that is, I think, the furthest northwest that we've covered a severe thunderstorm. That is a strong... we did cover some tornado warnings in Edmonton and Calgary, but in the U.S., That's the furthest north and west we've covered a severe thunderstorm so far. 1-inch hail possible in that storm south of Dickinson, North Dakota. Also, this storm here near Buffalo, South Dakota, has a $half size hail signature on it. Seeing a few more of these severe storms in the Dakotas here, so that's what the models were indicating earlier today. So kind of right on cue for those. Still the strong storm near Wall, Quinn, and Cottonwood, South Dakota, $half size hail. A lot of that strongest part of the storm is moved off the interstate, so I-90 a little bit more clear for now. Watching those tornado warnings, we're getting a new tornado warning there. We'll go back to that in just a second. Camera's definitely starting to shake on that severe warned storm here, Nebraska City. The wind is probably just a few miles. Our camera's right here, so our camera's right here and looking north. So that camera is probably just about to get into some of the stronger winds. And then also, again, watching those notches, watch those for any rotation. Right now, not seeing any, but that doesn't mean that can't pop back up. Still strong storms here near Seneca, down towards Holton, Kansas. And then also watching storms firing back to the west. There's still some storms now firing north of Salina. Also around Dodge City, there's a few thunderstorms with some small hail potential. Would not be surprised if we get a severe warning out of some of those storms. And then our storm here near Canadian, Texas, that seems to be dying off. It is downscaling. We also got a severe thunderstorm way down in West Texas. $half size hail north of Fort Stockton. Fort Stockton has had a busy, this region of Texas has had a busy spring. A little bit of rotation in there too, so we'll watch that one. There's more storms even further down into North Texas, south of Fort Stockton. Would not be surprised if that storm around Marathon has larger hail to it. That one doesn't have as much of a rotation signature, so that's one good thing. But yeah, West Texas has definitely performed pretty consistently through the summertime, or through the springtime. Getting a new observed tornado tag. This is for an area that's picked up here south of that broadening area rotation. This is an area here near Pender, Thurston, Winnebago, Walt Hill. I called this area a little bit ago. I said, watch out for this area if that rotation kind of reorganizes and comes your way. And it looks like that has happened. There is, I believe that is our tornado right in here. Let's see, yeah, that should be it right in there. So this is coming up towards Winnebago, Thurston, Nebraska, Pender, and Walt Hill. This camera is probably going to keep freezing because we're right getting into the thunderstorms here. So I'll try and keep on that one. But let's see, this is law enforcement reported. Let's get the details here for you guys. Confirmed tornado 3 miles west of Pender and 14 miles southeast of Wayne, moving northeast at 35. Damaging tornado, quarter-size hail. Law enforcement confirmed. So this is going to be near Pender here pretty soon. So near Pender along Nebraska 16 and also Thurston. You guys need to be in your tornado safe space there. Seeing a little bit of a CC lowering, so that could be it. We're a little further from the radar, so that could be that right there. Again, near Pender and then up towards Thurston, Walt Hill, and Winnebago. Please be in your safe space. This southern storm is looking pretty healthy here. Still seeing kind of broad rotation. This was the one that had the tornado warning earlier. It's trying, I think, to tighten back up. It looks pretty impressive on the reflectivity. Not as impressive right now on the velocity scan, but if it can tighten back up that rotation, it has an impressive look to it. And then this whole area, it's had a tornado warning for a long time, is going to continue to get a tornado warning for this broad area of rotation. Also large hail in here. it shifts a little bit further east, but Madison, Kalamazoo, just to the east of Kalamazoo, Enola, you're still in this tornado warning, south of Warnerville, and then a little bit now further east to the areas west of Stanton. Keep an eye on those storms. We just got a big dump of spotter reports. Probably all... I'm getting... It's probably all the same tornado they were all looking at there. So again, an observed tornado here. This is on the ground near Pender. Pender, Nebraska. Yeah, that is it right there. A little bit of a CC drop in here. That's coming towards Pender. So Pender, Walt Hill, Thurston. If you're out here along Highway 16 and really all of Pender, this is an immediate situation for you guys. Seeing the rain shadow on this camera here pushing through, that's that area that's surging north of our camera. We're also getting into some of the heavier winds. Seeing if we can get the camera activated. There's a camera that faces, I think, a little further west, but that one is not doing video at the moment. So there's our tornado. It's riding basically along 16 near Pender. We need to definitely be in our tornado safe space there. And then further south, still seeing that area, broad rotation at the moment. This one had a tornado on it earlier. Looks healthier on the reflectivity than it does on the velocity scan. But there's still an area rotation in here. We just have to kind of wait and see if it tightens back up. This one produced a tornado a little bit ago. And then again, back here near Madison, still seeing broad area rotation. A couple areas that are a little tighter. But no CC drops on those. That's a weird storm. That's been a weird storm. It's also just been hanging out back there. So yeah, we're seeing severe storms through Bellevue, along the I-29 corridor, pushing it along I-29 between Plattsmouth and Nebraska City. We're about to get into those strong winds. There's some lightning too on our camera. We're about to get into that right here at our camera at Nebraska City. Our camera's right here at I-29. Also about to get into one of these inflow notches. Not seeing a lot of rotation, but we got to watch those. Same with this area south. This is a pretty nasty bulge here of heavy wind towards Hamburg. 60-mile-an-hour winds and maybe some small hail, but mostly this is going to be a wind threat coming towards areas here. Trainer, Malvern, Tabor, Shenandoah, Sydney, Riverton, Hamburg, and then down towards Rock Point. This is not gotten a warning yet, but this area here around Tarkio will. Rock Point, Tarkio, down towards Falls City, and then Hiawatha, Horton. You guys are all in line for a pretty good amount of 50 to 60 mile an hour winds in here. Just kind of scanning the area, seeing if we had any new warnings that we really needed to pay attention to. Those storms that were along the Oklahoma border here, they are now severe warned in Oklahoma, north of Beaver, Oklahoma, in the Oklahoma Panhandle, and also that storm north side of Dodge City, also warned. Quarter-size hail, gusty winds up to 60. And then the other one is that storm that's south of Fort Stockton. Considerable threat now for half-dollar size hail and 70-mile-an-hour winds. Again, we're starting to see those blue colors in there, so wouldn't be surprised if we get larger than half-dollar size. But those storms down in Fort Stockton mean business. Usually those storms are pretty well structured out there. So if any storm chasers are down there, they can get some really cool structured storms in pretty much a desert environment. This is our other big storm here. It is up here near Glasgow, Nashua, and moving along Route 2, Fraser, Wolf Point. You guys are now in this severe thunderstorm warning up towards Poplar. If you're up along Montana 13, north of Wolf Point, you need to seek shelter. This one is also has been upgraded to 80-mile-an-hour winds. It is a destructive severe thunderstorm, quarter-size hail, and 80-mile-an-hour winds. So if you're in this warning, you need to treat this like it's a tornado. 80-mile-an-hour winds are a low-end tornado, and EF0, I believe, has 80-mile-an-hour winds. We're seeing some of those here verify pretty good. There's a report here for, not a report, but a scan here shows some 75-mile-an-hour winds, 73. We're really close to the radar site, so this is fairly low level. Seeing about a 76-mile-an-hour report there. And this is all right along US 2. So again, if you're on US 2 from Glasgow to Fraser over towards Wolf Point and Poplar, you need to seek shelter immediately and treat this like a tornado. Be in your lowest level, into your room, away from doors and windows. No skylights. Don't be hanging out below a skylight. Look at the view of this. The shelf cloud. You can see the shelf cloud, the base of that, with some little bit of scud there for some of the upward motion just at the edge of the shelf cloud, and seeing very dark, heavy rain here behind it. The camera's also starting to rock and roll pretty good. A couple hail reports already here for Dickinson, and those hail-producing storms in the western Dakotas. I want to go back here, though. We do have, it was an observed tornado. It's now back to radar indicated. And this is a, it's broadened out a little bit. It's near Pender still. Not seeing the CC drop on that. So luckily this may have lifted right as it's come into Pender. And if it's a law enforcement reported tornado, they probably would have followed it somewhat. So if it's still on the ground, they probably would have continued to report that. This could easily tighten back up though. So stay in your safe space. Thurston, Winnebago, and Walt Hill. We'll have to check on this too, because it's coming towards Sloan, where our other camera was. Yeah, look at this. This is pretty heavy wind. You can see also behind the shelf cloud, you can see the leading edge of the shelf cloud here. And then back here, you can kind of see the leading edge of the rain, wind, and dust that's kicked up. It's and then also heavy rain there. Yeah, that is a crazy look there. The storm to the south has now gone observed. So watching this area here near Beamer. Let's check back in here. Not seeing a CC drop with that yet, but let's treat this as an observed tornado. Let me see, get some specs on this. And 7:30, so just about 5 minutes ago, confirmed a tornado 6 miles south of Wisner, moving east at 30. Public confirmed approximately 10 miles southwest of Beamer. Okay, so it's not that area rotation. Somewhere down in here. It's not an area I would have expected a tornado, but it's kind of the old area circulation. The area that I'd expect a tornado is coming up into this surging area here. There's at least damaging wind in this storm too, so we're seeing those damaging wind reports or readings here come towards Beamer. Those are some pretty high values. Wow, look at that. The big lightning flash on this camera here, and we're into the dark, heavy rain. This is rocking and rolling now here in Nebraska City. That lightning was probably pretty close. Okay, yeah, they're saying the same thing we are here at the National Weather Service. They're now putting that area of rotation 4 miles southwest of Beamer. This area here. I'm not sure about that public report. So, unless they got their directions mixed up and maybe we're looking northeast instead of north-southwest, I don't know. That one's a question mark. We'll wait for the Weather Service to confirm if that was a tornado or not, because it doesn't look like an area rotation, and it's in an area of the storm where there probably wouldn't be. So either way, this is getting rewarned for this area rotation. Pretty strong winds going away from the radar, and then some going towards. So there's your area rotation in here. Yeah, that's about 4 miles southwest of Beamer. If, let's see, besides that, Wisner up to Bancroft in Nebraska, please be in your safe space. And then we'll check on our friends back here in Madison. This is a dangerous situation here. This is really becoming a flood threat here around Madison. There's still rotation in here too. But that storm does seem to be finally weakening. Not seeing the hail returns that we've seen with that storm recently. But yeah, this area here, from Norfolk to Battle Creek to the areas just north of Madison, that has seen a pretty good amount of rain here out of this. This is pushing 3 to 5 inches of rain, according to the measurements here. So, and it's still raining and storming in these areas. So there's other areas here from Wayne down to Norfolk, like Woodland Park, that have probably seen 2 to 3 inches, but there's still rain falling. So that is a dangerous situation there for flooding in northeast Nebraska. Yeah, wow, this camera here, it's probably freezing up even more because of the rain, but we see the lightning, definitely the gusty winds. The camera's been shaking. That is coming down in Nebraska City. Mentioned it earlier, areas around Tarkio over to Maryville, Missouri. You guys are now in those severe thunderstorm warnings. Yeah, right over our camera here in Nebraska City. There's a big flash of lightning pretty close to our camera. We're right on the heavy part here, just getting into the heavy rain. And the camera's basically like wobbling sideways. It's so rainy. Wow. You can see the sheets of rain coming down across this camera. That is a crazy look right there. So we have a couple of tornado warnings still. One in here, there's some rotation near Emerson and Wakefield. That's coming up towards Hubbard in Nebraska here. So that is an area rotation radar indicated at the moment. Still have our radar indicated rotation. Now east to Pender, it's kind of a broad shear line at the moment. We'll have to see if that tightens back up. But either way, stay in your safe space. Winnebago to Walt Hill, Pender and Thurston. And again, up towards Emerson, Wakefield, and points up towards Waterbury and Hubbard. Right now, well south of Sioux City, but we'll have to watch Sioux City for those storms, especially south side of Sioux City. And then watching these areas around Wisner or Weissner, and then Beamer over towards Bancroft. Pretty big, massive reflectivity there. Those are some surging winds. Area rotation is right in this area here, just to the southwest of Beamer, Nebraska. Not seeing a CC drop yet in there, but that's coming up towards Bancroft. So Bancroft up to Beamer, stay in your safe space. And then finally, Madison, you're tornado warning has been allowed to expire, so finally just seeing more of a surge of winds coming up towards Stanton. Still, this is, again, Madison, Woodland Park, Norfolk, up to Pierce, and up towards Wayne. This is a big area here of 2 to 5 inches of rain. So turn around, don't drown. If you encounter a flooded roadway, please just turn around. We've seen flooding here on our cameras. Doing some live streams this week. We've done several severe weather live streams, and we had flooding in Miami the other day. So we've seen what happens. If I have any regular viewers on, we've seen what happens with the flooding. Yeah, kind of an interesting small cluster of severe thunderstorms that have had tornado warnings kind of on the leading edge, and then a big training flood threat on the backside. So one cluster of tornado warned storms there, a couple isolated storms here in the Dakotas. This one is actually getting a tornado possible tag south of Dickinson, North Dakota. Yeah, it has some rotation in it, so we'll have to watch that one. This one also has ping pong ball sized hail and 60-mile-an-hour winds. The one near Buffalo, half-dollar size hail. We had 1-inch hail reported in Buffalo in South Dakota. And then our other big storm right now is this storm here in Montana. Destructive severe thunderstorm, 80-mile-an-hour winds, and quarter-sized hail. That is surging through Fraser up towards Wolf Point, Poplar, points north of Wolf Point and Poplar. If you're out ahead of this here, treat it like it's a tornado. Lowest level into your room. Be in a sturdy structure, not a camping trailer, tent, mobile home. You guys got to be taking that one very seriously. The storm to the south of that is also being warned now for 60-mile-an-hour winds. But that is a dangerous storm coming between Glasgow and Wolf Point at the moment. Seeing the very heavy rain now hitting our camera here. Seeing a couple extensions of severe warnings here. This is just a timing extension, I think, because this area was already under a warning. But Fairview, Padonia, Hiawatha, and Horton in Kansas, extension of that warning. 60-mile-an-hour winds and maybe 1-inch hail. Quarter-size hail also being reported in this storm near Spearville, Kansas, north of Dodge City, and then also considerable threat, ping pong ball-sized hail, and 70-mile-an-hour winds being reported near Beaver, Oklahoma, up towards Gate. This area had a considerable threat, severe thunderstorm, just the other night, too. So this area has gotten rocked pretty good in the last 48 hours, I think. 48, 72, somewhere in there. Considerable threat also down here in Marathon, Texas. A little bit of broad rotation, but mostly it's 70-mile-an-hour winds and golf ball-sized hail. And then quarter-size hail and 60-mile-an-hour winds north of Fort Stockton, Texas. So we've had quite a bit of severe weather today. And not done yet. Back down here, let's look at these tornado warnings. Still seeing that area rotation near Emerson, coming up towards Hubert, Hubbard. Still seeing kind of a broad area, more of a shear line right now, but Winnebago, Walt Hill, please stay in your safe space. And then also seeing this circulation here over Beamer. Taking a look at this. Not seeing a CC drop on that yet, so that's a good sign. But there's a broad, strong but broad area circulation over Beamer, coming up towards Bancroft. All just radar indicated at the moment. Had probably 1 or 2 tornadoes in here. These are all spotter reports that got dumped into the system all at once, but I think they're all spotting the same 1 or 2 tornadoes. So I don't think there was 5 tornadoes down in here. And then Omaha and point south. Omaha and your southeast side of town here towards Council Bluffs, Bellevue, up towards Trainer, Carson, Silver City, Emerson, Hastings, Malvern, Glenwood, Tabor, Emogene, Shenandoah, Sydney, Riverton, and Hamburg in Iowa, all under a severe thunderstorm warning for 60-mile-an-hour winds. can see that surging out. We saw that verified, I think on our camera here. We had some pretty heavy wind and rain, and also a lot of lightning with these storms. You can still see that blowing across the highway right now. Yeah, those are pretty nasty storms. And those extend down into northwest Missouri, Tarkio, over towards Maryville, Missouri. You guys are under a severe thunderstorm warning there. We've had more reports here, 69 mile an hour wind, almost 70 mile an hour wind. 60, 64. So we've had close to hurricane force winds continuing with this cluster of storms. That's pushing now into northwest Missouri, Tarkio, Mound City, Burlington Junction, Rockport, and then into Kansas, northeast Kansas, Falls City, Hiawatha, and Horton. You guys are up next with these dangerous line of storms there. Wow, what a night. What a night. I want to check on our other camera. Let's see. Those cameras are still holding on pretty good. They're seeing the brunt of the wind and rain, and they are still on there, so that's good. I want to take a look at our camera here out of Sloan. This is looking west here at Sloan, so we're looking actually towards those tornado-warned storms. Maybe looking slightly southwest, just by the look of where that camera is. I think we're looking kind of this way, with those strongest part of the storms here being just to the right side of our camera. Winnebago over towards Walt Hill. Again, kind of a broad area right now. It's kind of lined out at the moment. And then also this area here north of Emerson seems to be downtrending as it heads north and east towards Sioux City, but we'll keep an eye on that one. Still, this one here near Beamer is a dangerous storm. Not seeing a CC drop with that yet, but could easily tighten back up and drop another tornado. That one has had tornadoes in the past. New severe thunderstorm warning includes that area around Stanton and east of Madison. Still some heavy wind in here. The hail has come down to under an inch, so that's a good sign. Also have a new severe thunderstorm watch. Let's take a look at that. A new severe thunderstorm watch that's going to cover much of kind of west and central Iowa. National Weather Service Storm Prediction Center has a note that the tornado threat will continue through dusk, at least in that area where we've had tornadoes before there in northeast Nebraska, possibly getting into the areas around Sioux City in Iowa, on the Iowa side of things. So that is a mesoscale discussion that was just issued. And then the new severe thunderstorm watch goes until 2 a.m. It's a late night watch. 2 a.m. covering Des Moines. A couple of tornadoes are possible. Isolated hail up to Ping Pong. 75 mile an hour wind gusts are possible. That includes areas like St. Joseph, Missouri, Maryville, Missouri, up towards Creston, Iowa, Des Moines, Pella, Marshalltown, Ames, Iowa Falls, Fort Dodge, Iowa, Storm Lake, and Carroll, Iowa. So some pretty well-traveled areas too. This is along I-35, along I-80. Yeah, things are going to go later into the evening here. All right, our area around Sloan is getting a severe thunderstorm warning just to the south of Sloan. So we'll keep an eye on those. I don't see any, can't see much there yet, so we'll keep an eye on that. And then still heavy rain and wind coming down on this camera, not quite as bad as it did look earlier. This is out of Nebraska City here on 29. But good news is this severe thunderstorm has downtrended a little bit. Still a little broad rotation in that. And then still rotating here around the Beamer area. This storm is not looking as healthy either. It's kind of broadened back out. Still seeing some rotation in here near Beamer. So we do have to watch that. Not seeing a CC drop at the moment, and there's likely some larger hail in here too. Still stay in your safe space. Beamer up to Bancroft in Nebraska. Mentioned that severe thunderstorm warning back towards Madison. Also have some new severe thunderstorm warnings here in southern Iowa, up towards Shelby and Elkhorn. And I think that was the only new severe thunderstorm warning there. We'll also take a look here at a Dodge City. Still seeing that strong cell between Dodge City and Spearville in west central Kansas. That one has a $half sized hail. Then also seeing our considerable threat, 70-mile-an-hour wind and golf ball sized hail near Beaver and Gate in Oklahoma. A little bit of rotation in that storm too, so we do have to watch that one. A little bit right in here along US 64, so we'll watch that. And then way up into Montana here, near Glasgow, I had a 79-mile-an-hour wind gust. Storm spotter reported. So that is that's where the 80-mile-an-hour destructive severe thunderstorm with at least quarter-size hail. Again, we're seeing those blues. I would not be surprised if we get some stronger hail up in this area. But this is all surging out. Fraser over to Wolf Point. You guys need to treat this like it's a tornado. Be in a low-level interior room, especially if you have trees above you. If you're in a very wooded area, trees can easily fall down on your house and injure or worse. So Wolf Point, areas east of Glasgow, Nashua, Fraser, up towards Poplar, and north of those areas, please take that warning seriously. 1-inch hail, close to 1-inch hail and 60-mile-an-hour winds coming south of that along Montana 24 towards Circle, Montana. So a couple severe storms here in Montana. And then also watching that tornado possible, a destructive severe thunderstorm with at least golf ball size hail south of Dickinson and Gladstone in North Dakota. Seeing some broad rotation in that, but that one has not strengthened. $half size hail east of Buffalo, South Dakota. And then we'll get back into our tornado warned storms. Just the one tornado warning right now. We're down to one tornado warning. It's this area around Beamer. Still has that broad rotation in here. And not seeing a CC drop with that at the moment. But that's approaching Bancroft in a few minutes. That is a pretty strong area there of severe thunderstorms. I'm going to grab a drink real quick. While I do, I'll just put the radar on. And then we'll continue to watch these storms move through. So there's our camera on. Let me go get a drink, and I will be right back. All right, procuring some dinner as well. So I may close the camera, my camera, so you don't have to see me get some dinner here. But I will keep on in here. We're still watching the storms in Nebraska City. Those are moving through here in southern Iowa and northeast Missouri now. Also watching these storms. Let's pull this camera up for you. Starting to see a little more structure on these storms. I can start to see kind of the leading edge of this storm here, and then the bit of a shelf look to it. So we're starting to see that. That was tornado warned earlier. Was not tornado warned now. Still getting a lot of lightning. The wind has died down a bit here in the Nebraska City cam. There it goes. Still a little windy, but there is a lot of flashes of bright lightning here. And this is all coming into southwest Iowa now. Good news is, for the most part, the downtown Omaha metro has kind of gotten missed by these storms. They've slid up just to the south and east of Omaha. But severe warned storms now up towards Shelby, Walnut, Avoca, Oakland, Trainer, Malvern, over towards Red Oak, and then Shenandoah, College Springs, Westboro, Burlington Junction, now down into Missouri here. Burlington Junction, areas around Maryville, Skidmore, Maitland, Mound City, and then back across into Kansas, Hiawatha, Horton, and Falls City right now. A nasty line of severe thunderstorms. That's going to continue for a lot of the evening, and that's why there is a severe thunderstorm watch out until 2 a.m. for the Des Moines metro area and points there in central Iowa. We've also been watching strong storms coming in now south and west of Sioux City. A couple areas of rotation still in here, but this is a severe warned storm for 60-mile-an-hour winds. That's coming towards our camera at Sloan. Also seeing still broad rotation in here between Beamer and Bancroft. Not looking as tornadic, though, so that's a good sign. Not looking as tornadic. And then still severe thunderstorms back here. That's a big surge of wind coming into this area here, south and east of Stanton and north of Clarkson. Yeah, that is a big surge of wind. This area here, also around Norfolk, Nebraska, has had 2 to 5 inches of rain. And also there's more rain coming down already, so we definitely have to turn our attention to the flash flood threat here. Wayne, Winside, Pilger, Wisner, Stanton, Madison, Norfolk, Woodland Park, Hayter, and areas south of Tilden. That area has had a massive amount of rain here in the last little bit. Getting a severe thunderstorm warning here in Colorado, eastern Colorado. That's a cool looking cell. Does not show as coolly on the wind profile, but on the reflectivity, it's a little curlicue. Not so much on the velocity, but large hail likely falling in here. This is towards Cheyenne Wells. 60-mile-an-hour winds and maybe up to an inch in hail. Dodge City has had a severe storm to your north. That's up towards Spearville and Hanston. Pretty good amount of wind in there. Considerable threats for 60-mile-an-hour wind and golf ball size hail. Going to continue that and broaden it out towards Spearville and Offerly. And then also considerable threat for 70-mile-an-hour winds and golf ball size hail near Gate, Oklahoma, in the Oklahoma Panhandle. And then also way down here in Texas, we've had a couple severe storms. A new one here near Plains, Texas. You have to watch those storms west of Lubbock. And then also a severe thunderstorm, ping pong ball size hail, southwest of Marathon, Texas, in far southwestern Texas. We have also been watching severe storms, destructive severe storms with 80-mile-an-hour winds, and also large hail coming through Wolf Point, Montana right now. You can really see that on the reflectivity surging out here. So if you're along US Route 2 between Fraser, Wolf Point, and Poplar, and then also points north of that along Montana 13, you need to take this seriously. Treat it like it's a tornado. lowest level into your room, away from doors and windows, and also not in a mobile home, trailer, camping structure, something like that. There's a lot of recreational activities out in Montana. Severe windstorms, south of that, about an inch hail, and 60-mile-an-hour winds. A couple storms are also considerable threat here in the Dakotas. You have golf ball size hail and a tornado possible south of Dickinson, North Dakota. Still watching a little broad rotation